Mr. Delver, I need help. Someone's outside the mortuary.
Just try to stay calm. I know you're scared. I'll unlock the door in a moment.
What?
This is very sudden, but listen to me. We have to start right away.
Greetings, Indie Warriors, and welcome to I Dream of Indie. Prepare to enter a dark place, as today we are reviewing the Mortuary Assistant on Steam. Taking place during the year 1998 in a small town located in Connecticut, the Mortuary Assistant is a first-person horror game that puts you in control of a young lady who's just landed her dream job of being, well, yes, a mortuary assistant. Where at exactly? The spooky and ominous-looking Riverfields Mortuary, of course. While initially excited to go in for her first real night of work, it isn't long until she realizes that her new boss is a total creeper, who now informs her that a demon is bound to you and is possessing you. Your task in the game is going to be embalming bodies, filing paperwork, and essentially going about your regular job duties while somehow trying to comprehend the bombshell that's been dropped on you. Folks, I've been playing games most of my life and reviewing them here professionally at I Dream of Indie for 3 years at the time of this recording, but never before have I found myself pacing back and forth having to collect my thoughts after completing an initial run of a game. So fair warning here, this game is very dark, deeply disturbing, and greatly distressing. You have been warned, this game is pure hell in video game form. It gives zero fucks. Alright, with that warning out of the way, the gameplay is going to take place from the first-person perspective and can be played with either keyboard and mouse or controller. I personally recommend the keyboard and mouse, as the menus are a bit clunky in the Mortuary Assistant and navigating them with a control pad can be a bit of a pain. At the start of your shift, you'll want to grab a handy clipboard which will explain your tasks for the day. These tasks mostly involve preparing dead bodies and will have you wiring jaws shut, draining blood, using forceps. Yeah, I warned you about this game. The actual movement in the Mortuary Assistant is not half bad, pretty standard feel for a first-person game, but as I touched on earlier, the inventory system could have definitely used a bit more work. You can only hold so many items at once, and so there will be plenty of moments where you'll need to drop items in order to pick up new items that are relevant to the current task. You do thankfully have a quick inventory system, which is decent, but I did find that I spent a good amount of time in this game simply bumbling around in the dark, looking for the right items, which aren't always apparent. And while I wasn't frustrated or lost per se, it didn't help when you're already on edge in a stressful game. Now don't get me wrong, the journal system does a pretty good job of telling you what items you need, but then you have to go through various drawers and cupboards in order to find those items, and that can be a little bit trickier and cumbersome. Outside of dealing with that lackluster inventory system, gameplay really doesn't offer much depth, but it is disturbing, that's for sure. You might find yourself dragging the gurney to the back room, which feels a bit more interactive compared to some of the other tasks in this game, like drilling at a dead body's mouth. Many of the tasks are as simple as using the right items and then maybe mashing a button or moving the directional keys or joystick in a certain direction. The challenge comes in being able to stomach this title's contents. My blood ran cold as I used a machine to drain the blood from a corpse. I winced as I jammed the trocar into an abdominal cavity, all while having to deal with the game's oppressive atmosphere with the ever-looming threat of a jump scare. You'll even locate points of damage on these corpses and then input that information into a computer. In a way, I took some comfort in knowing these tasks are at least somewhat similar to someone's job in real life, and that does mean there is a little bit of educational value here, but boy, I sure didn't want to learn about it. Yes, the Mortuary Assistant pulls no punches with its visuals as bodies decompose and grotesque wounds are shown. This is a bleak world, one I couldn't escape from soon enough. Mercifully, after 2 hours of play, I reached some sort of conclusion, and it would appear there are at least 5 possible endings to be reached, as well as different bodies that can be burned, other possessions that can take place, all sorts of fun demonic stuff that you can replay the game to try to achieve, and I'll credit the Mortuary Assistant for that. There seems to be a lot of different ways you can go about this game. There are some interesting systems here that are introduced in order to solve some of the mysteries of it, but I just couldn't stick around. Look, I love horror games. I do my damn best here at I Dream of Indie to play as much as any game we have on the channel as I possibly can for review, but I was legitimately uncomfortable playing this one. The sound design is unbelievable, with the jump scares out of nowhere, knocks at the door, rain falling. This game game has great production values, it is deeply disturbing, it achieves all its goals, in fact to the point where I just couldn't even deal with it. It's obvious that the focus wasn't so much on the gameplay here. Developer DarkStone has done a brilliant job of unsettling players and making something so scary that I just can't even continue on with it. Goal achieved. The Mortuary Assistant is a frightful, disturbing achievement that deserves praise, and I applaud, and yet I never want to experience it again.
This is all your fault. I regret every second with you. Time is running out, Rebecca.
We thank you so much for supporting clickbait-free content here at I Dream of Indie. We couldn't possibly make it without our brave indie warriors and legends. At the Indie Warriors tier, we have Bill, Adriana Amato, CJR, Julian Colbus, Ray Lynn, Marky Mint, Dave Hart, Peekaboo, Lex Noyle, Christian Cruz, PSC, Sularu C, Cheek Geek, and Encha277. At the Indie Legends tier, we have Nathan Moore, Skeptism, Jen Rose, Chris Jackson, Mr. W, Blue Francis 14, The Beefarinis, Business Cody, Chiron, Jace Glover, King of the Hatch, Ophidian Mind, Lord Metroid, C. Coyle, and Larkison. Thank you so much for all that you do for independent developers, publishers, and for I Dream of Indie. Everybody else, head down to the description box below. Let's defeat the gaming echo chamber and bring a voice to the voiceless ones in gaming.